Grand Admiral Karl Doenitz is considered by many as one of the greatest naval tacticians and strategists of World War II. His vision, integrity, and pioneering tactics in submarine warfare came close to costing the Allied powers into final victory in Europe. The sequence of my presentation is as shown on the screen. The aim of this presentation is to enhance the knowledge about leadership qualities of Grand Admiral Karl Doenitz. Karl Doenitz was born on 16 September in 1891 Berlin, Germany. He was the second son of Emil Doenitz and Anna Bayer. His father was an engineer. His mother died when Karl was only 3 years old. Doenitz attended a preparatory school, Halensee, and a public school in the Duchy of Saxony-Weimar. Karl Doenitz's courtship with Ingeborg Weber, a daughter of a German general. They married on May 27, 1916, and had 3 children, a daughter Ursula, elder son Klaus, and younger son Peter. Both sons were died during the Second World War. Doenitz enrolled in the Imperial Navy in April 1910. 3 years later, he became an officer. While serving on the cruiser SMS Breslau, Doenitz was transferred to the Naval Air Arm at the onset of World War I, where he became a flight observer and seaplane squadron leader. He joined U-boat fleet in 1916. While he was in command of UB-68, the submarine was sunk by British forces, and Doenitz was taken as a prisoner in 1918. Doenitz remained in British captivity for the next 9 months. After his release, Doenitz joined the German Navy in 1919, and became an inspector of torpedo boats. He remained in the Kriegsmarine for the next 15 years. He commanded the Kriegsmarine cruiser Emden in 1934. Doenitz was appointed by Grand Admiral Ritter, the Supreme Commander of the German Navy, to raise and command the U-boat arm of the Navy on January 1, 1936. Hitler promoted him to Admiral in 1942 and Grand Admiral in 1943. Doenitz displayed great talent in his dedicated fight for resources and innovative tactics of using wolf packs. Doenitz developed the concept of the wolf pack in submarine warfare by grouping his U-boats to lay in wait for Allied convoys. These innovations enabled him to maximize the use of his limited resources in the optimum possible way to achieve the strategic and operational objectives in the theater. Doenitz was a capable tactician. His submarine tactics nearly won the war for Germany. While the principle of the wolf pack attack was proven, Doenitz never had the numerical superiority to sustain the attacks, and the large majority of U-boat kills were achieved via other tactics. As a capable tactician, he directed the Battle of the Atlantic against Allied supply ships, by sinking more than 15 million tons of Allied shipping. His U-boat fleet proved to be one of Germany's most effective weapons. The power is the potential ability to influence others' behaviors. Doenitz had the formal power of his position, as BDU, known as Befehlshaber der Unterseeboote. His expert power was derived from his recognized competency, and although not physically imposing, he had coercive power by virtue of the German machine, though rarely needed to exercise it. His reward power was somewhat renowned, as was his personal or referent power, which was exemplified by his personal traits and behavioral style. But Doenitz did not just exercise this power downwards. He also employed his influence upwards. Doenitz commanded from his headquarters at Wilhelmshaven and then later Berlin. Perhaps in contrast to those inspirational lead from the front, Doenitz was a successful distance warfare commander, enjoying a remarkable degree of loyalty from the men. His unique command and control system enabled him to maximize the use of limited resources in the optimum possible way to achieve the strategic and operational objectives in the theater. Doenitz's operational leadership abilities came to the fore in his refinement of the wolf pack attack, which had been first suggested during World War I. But, prior to the outbreak of war, Doenitz had sought a massive expansion of the U-boat force to 300 as part of the Z plan for the Kriegsmarine, which did not envisage war with Britain until 1945. His operational thinking and practice of operational art throughout this campaign remain a relevant model of operational leadership. He was also a master of operational maneuver, and shifted his focus and his assets within his theater to take advantage of Allied vulnerabilities. Doenitz's flexibility when directing operations allowed him to maximize the assets available to him, thus keeping the Allies constantly on the defensive. His coordination of reconnaissance aircraft, resupply vessels, and wolf packs allowed his U-boats to strike where they were most effective. Throughout his life he showed unparalleled loyalty to his subordinates and leaders. Evidence reflects that Hitler and Doenitz consulted continuously, conferring on naval questions 120 times throughout the course of the war. Doenitz admired Adolf Hitler. He was awarded coveted Golden Party badge for his loyalty to the National Socialist German Workers, also known as Nazi Party. In Hitler's last will, he named Doenitz as his successor. To that end, the relationship between Doenitz and his men in the submarine service can perhaps best be described as personal. He identified the submarines as his submarines, and the men as his men. Doenitz made a point of personal contact with his commanding officers. He knew the crews. He characterized for them what it meant to be a submariner and a member of a very special elite group. Doenitz was a Nelson-type character, and he had ability to instill in his men an unquestioning dedication and devotion. He spoke to them of the need for a fanatical willingness to die, that service to the fatherland was an end in itself. Doenitz sustained a high level of morale in his U-boat crews through the war, and the best index of crew morale was the fact that at the end of the war 43 U-boats were at sea on operations. But this fanaticism resulted in devastating losses. Commencing with 57 operational boats, the Germans built more than 1,150 during the war, and approximately 800 were either sunk or destroyed. Furthermore, 32,000 men were either killed or captured out of a total force of about 40,000. Such a rate loss was matched only by the Japanese kamikazes. Yet, for the duration of the war effort, the U-boats operated tirelessly, which has a large bearing on group performance and the circumstances. During 1935 and the establishment of the fledgling U-boat arm, Doenitz advocated personal contact during intensive sea training, going to sea daily, sharing in the conditions of submarine life in egalitarian fashion, and encouraging camaraderie between officers and enlisted men, thereby imbibing a sense of mutual confidence. Moreover, his personal inspiration included attending every training courses, passing out parade, and as many departures and arrivals of U-boats as possible. Doenitz displayed a genuine concern for his people, but not at the expense of losing his task orientation. The men called him the Lion, and idolized him for his competence and the respect and concern he showed for them. Doenitz, expecting the utmost from his men at sea, and he was concerned welfare too. He arranged special trains, rest camps known as U-boat pastures, and special shops. In Hitler's last will, he named Doenitz as his successor. Upon hearing of Hitler's death, Doenitz was appointed Reich President and Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces. He set up his government in Flensburg-Meerwijk on the northern German border with Denmark. For a mere 20 days Doenitz served as the last leader of the Third Reich. On May 23, 1945 he was captured by the British. He stood trial at Nuremberg trial for war crimes. Doenitz expressed surprise when he was brought to trial at Nuremberg at the close of World War II, and charged with war crimes. On October 1, 1946, he was found guilty of planning aggressive war and sentenced to 10 years in Berlin's Spandau prison. Upon his release in 1956, Doenitz lived in Nuremberg, Germany. In 1958, he published memoirs, 10 Years and 20 Days. He attempted to separate himself from war crimes in the first volume of his memoirs. 10 years later, in 1968, he published a second volume of memoirs titled, My Changeful Life. He attacked the Nuremberg trial process. Doenitz passed away on December 24, 1980. Grand Admiral Karl Doenitz is considered by many as one of the greatest naval tacticians and strategists of World War II. His leadership, innovation and dedication whilst commanding the U-boat arm, and eventually the entire Kriegsmarine, made a significant contribution to achieving Germany's wartime goals in the European theater. Doenitz displayed an abundance of deep thought in his revolutionary ideas of submarine warfare, and he had the leadership ability and fanaticism to train his submarine commanders to achieve outstanding success in implementing his tactical and operational ideas. Finally, we can consider Doenitz as a truly effective leader with a lot of leadership qualities. This is the end of my presentation. If you want to download this presentation with reading script, use following link in the description. Please click the like button and keep a comment if you enjoyed this video. If you want to watch more videos, please subscribe and click the bell icon. Thank you very much and have a nice day.